First Watch Now.
What you need to know from the Cochise County Sheriff's Office.
Hosted by Cochise County Public Information Officers Carol Kappas and Grady Butler. First Watch on 92.3 KWCD.
And it's brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative, giving you an inside look into your sheriff's office. I'm Grady Butler, and with me is Carol Kappas, Public Information Officer with the Sheriff's Office, and Sheriff Mark Daniels. Good morning.
Good morning, Cochise County.
Hello, everyone.
Well, let's start with some good news for the Sheriff's Department, and that's grant money headed our way.
It truly, we got 3 contracts for the Sheriff's Office, and all these grants are state grants through the Governor's Office that help offset cost here in Cochise County. One grant's for $1.2 million, and it's for 15 pickup trucks. And that includes outfitting them, radios, lights. That's pretty expensive stuff when you start outfitting a law enforcement vehicle. So that was $1.9 million, and then we got $9 million plus to put the helicopter back up. And that is a enforcement helicopter. We want to put a medical person on there in case we have to land in a desert or up in the mountains, or if there's a crash, that we can provide immediate medical aid. With the pursuits, for example, we can have a helicopter above a pursuit, pull back the patrol units, and then by chance they crash, which a lot of them do, sadly, that we can land that helicopter and provide immediate medical aid right there. So plus we have a law enforcement officer on there. So we're really excited for that one. And these are 5-year grants, so it goes up to 5 years. The trucks are a one-time sustainment, but the helicopter will be 5 years. And then the last one is the
parity bill.
Parity, the recruitment retention. So that allows, that's about $1.4 million right in there, 1.3, where that allows me over the next 2 years to allocate $10,000 to all our detention officers and deputies to retain them. It's really retaining our talent. And this is almost an historical. I don't think I've ever heard of the state coming in and saying, here, sheriffs, let's give you some money to retain your deputies and detention officers. I give Governor Ducey a shout-out on that one. I give our state lawmakers a shout-out on that one. They help us push that through. And then $5,000 for the next 12 months for sign-on bonuses for any detention officer and deputy. That really makes it marketable. You go up in the Valley, Phoenix area, $7,500, $10,000. I mean, Albuquerque, I think Albuquerque Las Cruces is offering $35,000 or some crazy number for sign-on bonuses right now.
Wow.
So it's really, really competitive out there right now. And so having these 3 grants, they go in front of our board of supervisors, because the board is a fiscal responsibility for the county when it comes to contracts. I don't have that responsibility, but so that goes in front of the board. So we're looking to get all 3 of those approved next Tuesday. Hopefully I won't be disappointed, because again, these are costs. 15 vehicles, the taxpayers do not have to pay for now. So again, every time we bring money in, it offsets tax money.
And so you have people who have sign-on bonuses, which is absolutely amazing, and we've gotten a lot of great applicants, and we have good people working for us, and we've actually had people graduate. So we had a CODA graduation and actual Southeastern Arizona Law Enforcement Academy graduation. So congratulations to those people. It was Detention Officer Tyler Sepero.
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 We were talking about that before the show. Sepero.
Yes.
I mean, what a name. I like that name, Sepero.
That's right. And then we also have the Academy from Douglas.
For deputies was Diego Bojorquez and then Lane Foltz. And a sad story I want to say is about Lane. Lane came out of our jail, but I was talking to him yesterday, and he got the PT award for physical fitness, and it's based on scores and stuff. And I was talking to him afterwards. He lost almost 35 pounds in the academy. I mean, to lose that much weight and then come in as a top PT guy. Congratulations, all 3 of them, but a special shout out to Lane, too, for doing that. That's a mental attitude that good for him.
And speaking of him coming out of the jail, that is a success story within our own organization, because you could start in our jail at 18 years old. We got sign-on bonuses that we just talked about, and you can then go into law enforcement when you hit the age of 21. So it's a great place to start.
It is, and we get a lot of our deals that come over, and they're 2 separate careers. I commend it on both sides. We've worked hard over the last decade to solidify the detention officers, get their salaries up, get STEP program for salary increases, and recognize them for what they are. That's a tough job. It's a very tough. Carol, your son works over there. He's one of our sergeant supervisors. I mean, it's a tough job, so I commend them in their own correctional field. But I get it. Some people want to go work at the patrol. We have that opportunity for them at 21, like you're talking about, Grady. But so congratulations to Tyler, Diego, and Lane for their graduation. And we also just since we're here at the radio's here in Sierra Vista, Robert Hertman is a graduate for Sierra Vista Police Department out of our academy, so you'll be seeing him. So congratulations to Robert, too, and all their families for supporting them. We forget the family, but we hire an officer, a detention or deputy or staff, we hire their families, too. A lot of people forget that because that's a lot of stress on them, too. So thank you to the families.
And another thing that's coming to the sheriff's office is a robot. Tell us about that.
We got that Tuesday. I sit on the Arizona Homeland Security Advisory Council, and called RAC for the southern part of the state. And so we got a grant, excuse me, for $17,000. We had a partial grant already for this, so through the same organization, and they had some residual funds that people didn't use. So we got $17,000 out of that to buy a robot, and that's for tactical. We have to go into a residence instead of sending a deputy in there with a camera. To go in, we actually send the robot in there. It's for officer safety purposes, and we've had several critical events where that robot been. We've had one, but it's an old robot. It doesn't do the things.
Slowing down.
It's slowing down. Yeah, the batteries aren't working anymore. But this is nice to have that. So thank you to the state again for that.
And emergency services assisted with that, correct?
Yes, I'm glad you said. Tammy Jo Wilkins and Dan Deshawn, thank you. I gave them a shout out this week. Tammy sits on that, but she drove that grant for us. So thank you so much, Tammy Jo.
And there's been so much going on in Cochise County with the holidays. So let's start with parades last week. You were just on several of them. We were in a lot of them. Palomina's unorganized parade, that cracks me up every time because there's no organization. You don't have to sign up. You just show up.
And what's amazing is it runs smooth.
It does.
It's like people working with people. Get there first, you line up first. It's
right.
a very simple concept. And everybody just knows what to do. There's no confusion. And the roads, is it cluttered? Yes, but they always leave enough lane for people to go through. And it's well attended. I mean, very well attended. And it's one of the few daytime parades in the county. The only other daytime parade is Huachuca City. Mm-hmm. Theirs is tomorrow. But otherwise, they're all nighttime parades. This is an opinion. I like the daytime parades. And I get it. We can't see the lights. Okay, I get that too. But I like the daytime parades.
That way you have, I think, more people that can show up because of inclement weather and bringing their kids and older people. So that's a good thing. So we also have parades tomorrow.
We do. We have the Huachuca City Parade tomorrow at 9:30, I believe it is. And then we also have Benson Parade tomorrow night and the
Wilcox and Tombstone.
Wilcox Tombstone, that's right. Benson was last week.
Right.
Wilcox is tomorrow night and Tombstone's tomorrow night. So we're going to do the Tombstone Parade tomorrow night. We're doing that one. I asked the honor guard that's been with us all through the parades. I said, which one you want to do? Because Wilcox and Tombstone at the same time. They said, let's do Tombstone. We'll be in Tombstone, so I let them pick that.
Bundle up. It's going to be a little bit chilly.
Oh, it was chilly this morning. In fact, Grady and I were talking about that when I came in. I said, it's so dark.
It's still dark, yeah.
Where's my son? Where is my son?
General Hale's Christmas party is coming up on Sunday.
That's up on Fort Huachuca. His Christmas party will be Sunday, and so we're excited about that. And it's always nice. He's just been so integrated into the community. General Hale and his wife, just great people. The leadership of Fort Huachuca, we've been blessed. The generals have come through, the garrison commanders. Brendan Deaver, Sheriff Deaver's son, is the colonel for the MI up there. So it's nice having those relationships with those leadership on Fort Huachuca. Fort Huachuca is a driver for Cochise County, and it's nice to be able to work so close with them. So that'll be Sunday afternoon.
And Shop with a Cop is coming, so we have Benson Shop with a Cop tomorrow. Everybody get ready for that.
Yes, that's exciting, and so we got to be up there 6 in the morning, Carol, Grady. It's going to be an early start tomorrow, and that's something our charity ride sponsors. That's where a lot of those funds come from. And Kirsten from our office, she works in our evidence criminal. I want to make sure I get her title right. She doesn't yell at me, but she's like CSI. She comes out and collects all the evidence, and so. She coordinates that for us, but it'll be DPS, Benson PD, Tombstone, all the different agencies that represent the northern part of the county, and that taking care of kids in need. And then Sunday we do the Sierra Vista one here. So again, it's just getting out there. It's been a really good Christmas holiday season when it comes to all the things we've done, from ringing the bell, Christmas parties, tree lightings, parades, shopping with kids in need. But it's been pretty exciting this year.
And stocking stuffers.
Last Sunday, this is a Kiwanis Just Kids event. This year they're serving over 700 kids in need in the community. So We pick them up out of the warehouse. Well, thanks to Frank Morrow from First West Property, he gives us a facility where they can store all the stuff. Then we take them over to the church on Sunday. We wrap them. All the community members come out. We wrap, and it's just a festive thing. And then myself and a bunch of us take them back to the warehouse, log them back in. And on the 17th, the Sheriff's Assist Team, Search and Rescue, myself and my leadership team will deliver those gifts with some other organizations to these kiddos. So, again, just it's a way of giving back. It really is. And then after that, I'll go shopping for my own family. And I got to give a shout. I'm going to forget this if I don't say it now. I got to give a shout out to my wife's birthday. I mean, she stands by me, and when she doesn't see me most of the year because I'm out working, but it's Nikki's birthday. I can't say how old is. She's a year younger. I'll just say it that way. She's a year younger, so happy birthday, hon. Love you.
How cute is that?
Yeah.
And so just really backing up really quickly to Shop with a Cop, I completely forgot. You mentioned Kirsten doing that for Benson Shop with a Cop, and Anna Stempro has been doing it many years for Sierra Vista. So I didn't want to forget that. We didn't mention her name, so thank you so much for everything you guys do.
And every CES program has a good leader behind it. So good to both of them.
Well, let's talk about the border for a bit. I know we've got some border things with the containers and other border issues. What would you like to talk about today?
Well, let me hit on the border thing. I know there was an article in the Herald last week, and there's some protesters down there, and that's their legal right to go down there and protest that. And so the governor has initiative to put containers on the border to address that. Are they an eyesore? You'll never get an argument out of me. In fact, I asked the state last week. I said, listen, can we at least paint them? Let's do earth tone. Let's do something to paint them because it looks like a train wreck twice. It's not a good look. But I think we need to go back to the reason the governor did that. And this is where I applaud the governor is he believes in a secure border. And I do too. I mean, secure borders promote public safety, national security, humanitarian, which is the human toll of this. So I agree with the governor on that. But as a result, the governor has placed those in there. As a result, the feds don't agree with it. The state do agree with it. They're in litigation right now. So, and this is on Forest Service land. This is on federal land. So the Forest Service regional director and we speak 3 times a week on this to make sure we're transparent. We got good things going right now. Until the judge rules who's right, then we'll make a decision from there. If the judge rules the state's wrong, then obviously we'll enforce it along with the federal partners from the Forest Service. And we have authority out there, don't get me wrong, but we yield to the Forest Service. And that's why we're talking so much, because they got limited resources. And 'cause I know somebody made a comment, well, the sheriff's not enforcing the rule of law. First of all, have you made that comment to the Forest Service? Second of all, it's in litigation. And our legal team from Brian McIntyre and his team, we have spoke numerous about this, and my team. So we're waiting for litigation. The Forest Service is waiting. They're law enforcement. So I'm not going to come in there and make a political statement on either side. I'm just not going to do that. But I do support border security, and I won't recant that statement anyway. But the protesters down there, I'll just say that. We've been down there. We've talked to them. My commander was down there last night to check, make sure. Our job is to keep the peace. If you break the law, though, we will address it. If there's an assault, if there's something that goes beyond a peaceful protest, we will intervene along with our federal partners on that to make sure that's handled. And so it's all going well. It's going very well down there. Don't let anything take it different. And again, they got a right to protest as long as they don't hinder. That's the big thing.
And border stuff also includes people watch our social media sites and to see the stops, that we're making through our Operation Safe Streets and our criminal interdiction team that's been standing up and hearing all of that on the radio consistently. But one that just really from earlier this week was talking about a 15-year-old driver and a 14-year-old passenger.
I saw that one, and it's amazing, folks. And Carol, I appreciate you and Grady putting the snapshots of what we deal with out there. That's a snapshot. That's not every day. People said, you need to put them all on there. Wow, I wish we had the time. I really wish we had the time. But the reality is, the reason we snapshot it and show the folks what we're doing is it shows that we are doing our job. I mean, it's incredible the amount of work that's going on out there to deter this behavior. There's nothing good about this behavior. When you got 14-year-olds and 15-year-olds, these are like 8th graders and freshmen. And
driving a car.
Driving a car.
Erratically.
Where's mom and dad?
Right.
And the loved ones. I'm just going to throw that in there. But number 2 is coming to our border, working with international criminals. That's what they are. They're the cartels are career criminals and now your children are involved in them. I have a real problem with that. I call that child neglect. I'll just throw that out there. But there are consequences to that too. And so we're enforcing the rule of law to deter this behavior. If they want to go somewhere else, I go. But don't do it in Cochise County. And that's why the sheriffs unify when it comes to, not all of us. There's a couple that are like, there's not a problem. Now that's up to you and your citizens. But in this county, I will stand up for the rule of law on my oath.
And, they keep, they've even had weapons that were most recently recovered, and people are worried about that. And so I don't know, we get a ton of comments about, you misidentified the weapon and what's wrong with holding a weapon and et cetera. But one of the things, if you could just clarify, is the reason why the weapons charge was on the most recent one this week is during the commission of a felony, and human smuggling is a felony.
And a weapon's an aggravating circumstance to that crime. So if you bring a weapon, and sadly we're seeing more weapons than we ever had before. It's just a fact of life. And when you got people coming from all over the country to smuggle down here and get involved in these dangerous, and you're picking up people you have no idea, people that can't come up and give up. So that's the first thought. But you're picking them up, you're bringing weapons down there. It's a really sad deal. And so many people like to politicize our border. I get that. I'm a realist. I get that. And this is political. It's been political for many, many years, both Republicans, Democrats, and those that just don't care. It's been politicized. I don't like to politicize the border. I'll say when I'm not happy with it. I'll say when it's not working. But usually I'll call out the facts on it. This is why it's not working. You look at the facts on the border right now, the non-political facts, I call them. These are facts that we're dealing with in this country. They're historical numbers, they're remarkable numbers that we can do a better job. And that's the problem. I know there was a big issue this week about the president that came to Arizona when he was asked, are you going to go to the border since you're in a border state? And he said, I have more important things to do. That doesn't sell anything. I mean, that doesn't sell nothing. And I keep saying it doesn't prioritize our border. And our border should be a priority to any leader, local, state, and federal, especially our president that's got an over 8 mandate to protect his country. So am I frustrated with that? You bet I am, and I'll say that. And until we engage, that's going to be a continued dialogue for me at least, because I'm working as an oath of office to protect the citizens in this county and this state. And that's why I commend our governor, too. He has taken that stance, too. And I know there's people that don't agree with me. But it depends what lens you're looking through. And we had an incident this week, and a lot of people don't know this, where I had a sheriff from Santa Cruz County, did not call me, did not talk to any other sheriffs, drove 10 miles in my county to meet with the protesters, asking if they've been victimized. That's political, folks. That is political from the day is long. And that's going to be addressed, I promise you. In fact, we're working on that today. But the bottom line is, I was elected for the people of this county, not Santa Cruz, not Pima, not Maricopa, here, and that's where I focus my attention. And so that border's secure, I continue to be loud about it. But I'm not going to drive myself into another county and address issues going on there. That's inappropriate. It's unnecessary, unwarranted, and it's very unethical.
And you have a final meeting coming up for the Sheriff's Association.
I just did it.
Oh, you did it? Okay.
Yes, I did this week. And so I've been president of the Arizona Sheriff Association for 2 years. Was past president, immediate past president for 2 years, and then elected back president for 4 years. And I told him at the last election, I said, do not nominate me. I've done my time. So I had my last meeting here Tuesday. I was up in Phoenix for the ACO meeting and Arizona Sheriff's meeting and County Attorney's meeting. So it's been an honor to work with my fellow sheriffs in Arizona. Truly an honor. 99% of them they're in it for the right reasons. They're passionate about their communities. They're passionate about working together and working with Western states and national, which I'm still on those boards. I'll continue to do that with them. And but yeah, it's just a lot of time. It is. And since I've been sheriff for the last decade, it's kind of what Sheriff Deaver did. I mean, filling those shoes where he was involved in so much, especially at the national level. So keeping that going, because if you're not at the table, you're not on the menu. I mean, you got to be there. You got to be able to address it. You got to be able to speak your mind to your community. And when I sat on Homeland Security, it was the same thing. I mean, and every decision they made, I always said, how does that impact the community? If it doesn't impact the community, number one, if it doesn't positively impact it, then we got to reconsider why we're doing it. So that's always been my focus, and it always will be.
And so whenever you get elected to these boards, you have other people that get elected by proxy, correct? So Commander Bradshaw appreciates you.
Yes, and so Commander Bradshaw bless his heart. Him and I have traveled. In fact, he still does national with me. He still does Western with me, Western states. So in fact, we got a couple meetings coming up at the first of the year. We're going to be going to D.C., then we're going to Reno, and then we're going to Grand Rapids, Michigan for meetings. But he represents the correctional side of it, the detention side of it for the state. And he has done very, very well at doing that. And he speaks throughout the country on it. So, and what that does for Cochise County, it markets it in a way that people are like, hey, that's a great place down there. And again, it goes back to what we do internally in the county and also externally. So thank you, Commander Bradshaw, for all you've done when it comes to our jails, both in the state, locally, and also the federal level.
Today there's something for the kids in Wilcox. It's the practical CTEs. Tell us about that.
First of all, CTE means Career Technical Education. These are the kids in the public safety program that in all the respected high schools are having their all-school practical exercises today, and that's at Wilcox High School sponsoring. It starts at 11:45. It's an all-day event after that, and then they go through it's like a competition, no different than a wrestling match or a basketball tournament. They all come together, and then who's going to be the best club, the school. And so I'm going to go up there at 11:45 today and talk to the kids and just share some time with them, let them know I support them, because that program feeds our careers here in Cochise County. I go back to the homegrowns. They grew up here. Their families are here. If I can snag them or law enforcement can snag them, like Wilcox or Service PD or any of the agencies, and we get them to stay here, we've done something remarkable. And that's what that program's all about. But I want to make sure that they understand I support that program. And the instructors that put it together. A lot of the instructors are retired law enforcement that now are working under CTE. We got a handful that are volunteers for the sheriff's office, these instructors, and then we give them cars and resources so they're covered. But CTE pays their salaries. So it's a great thing. And seeing these young kids that want to get in law enforcement, yeah, we have an obligation to be up there and support them.
And usually your stop of the week is, somebody did something wrong or there was a bad guy, but this time your stop of the week is a little different.
It is. Commander Bradshaw and I were heading to Phoenix to go to the sheriff's meetings and county attorney meetings the other day, and we see a car parked off the road. Flasher, I believe we're on. And so whenever somebody turns the flashers on, you're going to have a cop's attention because what's wrong? So I see it, and I see somebody outside the car walking around upset. And as we come around, she's on the ground. She's laying on the ground. Now, is this somebody with a medical issue? What's going on? Then I see somebody else pop out of the car. Well, when I see that, somebody is upset, distraught, and then see somebody else, the first thing I think of, I'm just going to be honest with you, is domestic. You got a rolling domestic, we call it. So we turned around, came back up, hit the lights. Some other people had already stopped. I appreciate them stopping to check. But so I walk up, she's crying. I mean, just really bad. And I looked at the lady, I go, what's wrong? She had just heard that her best friend had died. And she's young. She was in her 20s. But her best friend went in for a medical procedure and didn't survive the medical procedure. So she was really distraught. So we spent the time, Commander Bradshaw and I spent the time, along with a couple of citizens that stopped and even prayed with her, which I thought, wow, I mean, how nice of that is. That's what this country's all about. And but we spent the time, make sure she got calmed her down, and then we got her off the road so she wouldn't be a danger anymore. So it's not the typical things we see every day when it comes to the DUIs, the pursuits, the accidents that we talk so much about on this show. But this was an emotional time for somebody that, even on the highway, that it can be a problem. So again, if she's listening to the show this morning, I hope you're doing better today, and condolences for her friend.
Right. So, and then with the holidays and everything coming up, what is your safety message of the week?
We talked about this. I got a call about a week and a half ago from my old neighbor who lived by us. She called. She was all distraught. She got a call reference a banking issue, and she fell right back into it. And this was, she ended up transferring $15,000. $15,000. And she felt so bad. She waited on it for several days before she ended up calling us, which doesn't help the situation. And there's no words that can fix that at that point. There is no words. So I had my deputy make contact with her to get the report and stuff. But folks, they're all over the place. We just got one the other day, my wife did, where we have an irregular or unusual transaction at Walmart. Can you call us? Don't call that. go home, get your paperwork out, find your bank's number, or go to your bank and check it online. But do not call those numbers until you know you do have an issue, because if they can get you locked in on a phone, or you can hit something on a key like your computer and you hit that button, you've opened up everything. So just be very, very careful. I mean, we're going to the holidays and she just lost $15,000. My heart today just is fractured for her. I mean, I feel so bad, and you can tell there's nothing I can do at this point. If you call us right away, there's a chance we can block it still. And we've had some success stories there, but if you wait several days, your money's gone. Truly is gone. At that point, you got to work with your bank to see what you can do. But so please be vigilant during the holidays. These cyber thieves, that evil is out there. I promise you.
All right. Well, coming up next, we've got Dr. Alana Brunacini, and she's got a new program that's going to be in Cochise County that I know you're also excited about. So
she's doing some really amazing. That's the doctor we just hired under the Legacy Foundation. I was at Margaret Hepburn's annual Christmas party the other day. I went over there and gave her a hug and said thank you. I mean, all the team at Legacy Foundation and Margaret for letting us do this and trusting us to do it. But yeah, she's a mental health doctor that's working within Cochise County to help people. It's really what it's all about. She's in the process working with Commander Bob Watkins. I commend him too. He's done a phenomenal job of getting this program together, and which has been something we've talked about for 10 years that I've been sheriff, to start putting this resource out there. They're going to hire 3 more. She's in charge of that. 3 more mental health professionals to work alongside her, so we have 24/7 response somewhere in the county, anywhere in the county, that we can start helping people young and old. And Jackie Clay's got another mental health grant. So again, we're doing some really good things here in the county, and to make this a better place, the quality of life that I've been elected to do, Jackie Clay and Brian McIntyre and all of us. So we'll continue doing that effort.
It's Dr. Alana Brunacini coming in next. And Sheriff, we thank you for coming and talking to us today.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great week. Talk to you next week.
And it's brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative, giving you an inside look into your sheriff's office. I'm Grady Butler, and with me is Carol Kappas, Public Information Officer with the Sheriff's Office, and our next guest, Dr. Alana Brunacini.
Good morning.
So you are going to be heading a new project that's just been kind of almost tested here in Cochise County. But before we get to that, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Alana Brunacini. I transplanted to Cochise County from Phoenix. I was a born and raised Phoenix native, and it was just time. It was time to move to Bisbee. I was sitting in my backyard reading the Bisbee Observer, and I saw the tiniest little blurb for this grant that the Sheriff's Office had gotten through the Legacy Foundation. And one of the reasons I was able to move to Bisbee and just transplant my whole life is I ran my own counseling and consulting business, and the consulting work I did was for alternate response programs for public safety. I just cold call people all over the country and bombard them with questions about their program and talk to them about, do you need help in original structuring? Do you need help in job descriptions? I've done some pro bono work. I've worked for projects that went really well. I've worked for projects that crashed and burned because of it's complicated. It's really complicated. So called up the Sheriff's Office, as I do in my contracting business, and I got a hold of Commander Watkins, who spearheaded the development of the grant and worked really closely with the Legacy Foundation and all the community partners. And we met for kind of an informal chat. I think that he had experienced a lot of folks in the community that maybe weren't the right fit or weren't you don't know what you don't know. So I asked him a bunch of questions that I think he was like, I have no idea what you're talking about, and that's good. You're the right, I think you're the person for this. So we chatted a few more times, and I did some ride-alongs so I could get a sense of the culture of the department. The culture of a department oftentimes makes or breaks these programs, and I was just really impressed. I had a great ride with one of the deputies I was with. I was like, okay, I can work here. I really like this, and I already like the community. I moved here. So that was kind of how the whole thing started, and I was hired. My start date was November 14th, and we're just starting the program from the ground up. I mean, we know there's a need, and now having the educational background I have, and then having the professional background I have, we have an opportunity to look for much more specific things and collect data about community demographics and hotspots it's very natural for me to go have conversations with the attorney's office and the mental health agencies and public health so we can collaborate. What works, let's keep it working. What is missing, how can we put it in place and have it be sustainable? That's the focus. That's what we're really interested in.
And mental health is a national issue at this point, and here in Cochise County, it kind of doesn't exist. I mean, there's outlets, there's ways to do it, but you're going to bring all of these resources together. What is the plan?
So, mental health is this really broad basket that oftentimes when we see just problems in our community, it just gets thrown in the mental health basket. And there are absolutely members of every community, and certainly members in the Cochise County community, who have legitimate diagnosed mental health issues that we want to make sure that, particularly from a 911 public safety perspective, we are addressing their emergent need in the community with the most appropriate resource. So first and foremost, if we don't need a medical provider through EMS, or if we don't need an officer or a deputy, let's not send one. 100% let's not send one. Folks who have legitimate, true mental health disorders, these diagnoses that are impacting their ability to function, 99 times out of 100, it's an opportunity for us to build some really quick rapport, figure out what's going on with the person, do some de-escalation, and we prioritize safety and stability in the community. Because we're able to work with all these other entities in the community, we can follow up on their long-term care, we can follow up on other aspects of the whole picture for them, but at our immediate service level, we're really we're a new option in the 911 system that isn't the hammer and nail that the 911 system was built around. The 911 system was not built around serving the really complex behavioral health, mental health issues that the community faces. So that's kind of number one. We really want to make sure that the mental health support team addresses the mental health population who are being overserved and inappropriately served by the 911 system, especially because it can create a really contentious relationship between the community and those providers. There's this other interesting pocket where a lot of the folks who are experiencing those issues, they are not the ones who called 911. So as far as those folks are concerned, they're just minding their business, and someone else calls 911, and then a law enforcement officer or even fire and EMS show up, and they might be a little frustrated by that. Mental health support units and these alternate response programs are really nice because we don't have to take you to the hospital. We don't have to arrest you. What do you need? Unfortunately, someone called and was worried about whatever they were observing, and sometimes we'll just put you in a safer place. We'll just give you a sandwich, put you in a safer place, ask if you want us to give you a call back tomorrow. Maybe you do have a clinic, but we really just focus on safety and stability, so there's a decreased likelihood that they're going to keep having the police called on them, and that they can mind their business, particularly for folks who don't call on 911 themselves. So that's a big part. We're going to run calls where they come in as someone having a difficulty, wanting to hurt themselves. We'll participate in that process. We're going to work closely with the crisis through the Crisis Mobile, and Arizona Complete handles the crisis system. So we'll work with them and make sure that we're distributing resources. It's a big county. And we're still going to start small. So definitely in the new year, we will start our staffing. But for the 3 years of the grants, we're going to have 2 vehicles and 2 people per vehicle. We put them in teams. It's a lot safer for the community. It's a lot safer for the teams. So we start off picking up, co-responding. Sometimes if we get enough information, we can respond instead of on these mental health calls. And then the next area we'll tip into is things that are kind of vague. You know, if it's a well check on a community member we know, maybe we don't need to send a deputy out there. Maybe we'll just send the mental health support team. Particularly for folks in the community that we do have multiple calls for service, there's a lot that we can respond to. Something I've talked with the administration and the sheriff's department about is we want to meet the needs of the sheriff's department, and we also want to meet the needs of the community reasonably. Like, there's so much work to do, and there's so much we can do, and I want to make sure we take little baby steps, and they're all really intentional, and that whatever we start, we can keep doing. I don't like providing something to the community, having them get used to it, and then poof, there it goes. And being a new person in the community, I am seeing that happens a lot. That's a big thing that this community has legitimate frustrations with.
And will you be going into the schools at all?
Yes, the schools are a large component of the overarching grant, and then also with the sheriff's office, we really want to get into the juvenile community and working with the schools about trainings and resources that we can collaborate with in the schools. And then when we do get calls that involve juveniles, what's best for those kiddos. I'm also learning that there's a significant lack of juvenile services in the community. And so for those kids, and then also for their families, it's just shoulder shrug. Like, so again, we're going to take measured steps. We're going to make sure that what we're doing is sustainable. We're going to make sure that what we're doing is appropriate for the community need. But that is an area that we absolutely are going to give our attention to.
You mentioned staffing in the new year, so there's going to be some job openings. Mm-hmm. And I know those probably haven't been written specifically yet, but what kind of people are you going to be looking for? Other health co-workers or secretarial or what?
So we will be looking for another behavioral health professional with an associate or an independent license. And we will be looking for 3 behavioral health techs. And part of the Legacy Foundation's big grant distribution this year included multiple entities, and we're all collaborating. So I think it was my first or second week, like straight to Cochise College, because I wanted to talk to the folks at Cochise College about their grant allowed for an additional behavioral health program. And so we want to work with the college to have essentially their students will essentially be perfect fits for our program. So that's a possible like track to getting folks into these positions. But essentially the behavioral health tech, folks that have any background in education in the mental health field, folks that have any background or education in public safety. So people that could be a good candidate might be folks that work as MAs or CNAs in the emergency room, or people that work in the clinics and they're familiar with just a slightly more fast-paced environment, people that are interested in public safety but are also on the mental health, community wellness sort of bandwagon. We like that crowd, you know. So the behavioral health professional, a lot of folks could be a good fit. You know, someone that has a significant background in working in the schools is going to be a really good complement to myself. Someone that has years of crisis work is going to be a great behavioral health professional. Folks that have spent most of their clinical careers in an office setting, this may be a really exciting opportunity. It may be a really challenging opportunity. It's gonna feel really rock and roll if you've been an office therapist your whole career. And then for our techs, big things we look for in our techs is comfortability with shift work, comfortability with weird hours, which is sometimes why our healthcare folks are a little bit more accustomed to, especially our ER folks. Like they know swing shift, they know weird hours, and really recognizing that we are out there to help the community. We're not out there to provide therapy and treat whatever their issues are. we're just out there for safety and stabilization. We're out there to meet their needs. And sometimes people are really mad when we get there. Sometimes people are just absolutely in this just really agitated state. They may be like just incredibly sad, big tears, or they may be huffing and puffing and just really, really mad. We give people space, we give them food, we talk it out, and we get them back into a safe and stable situation for themselves. We make sure our officers and our fire and EMS people can get back to the emergent availability that they need to be at. And so for our techs to recognize that we do bridge a service, and you're gonna have to have good communication skills. You're gonna have to be patient. We are not bossing these folks around. We are not telling them what to do. We're also not going to sit out there for 3.5 hours for every single person and learn, their entire life story. That's a different type of program. One day, hopefully, if we get another round of grant funding or other grant funding, and if it becomes a true forever service, we will add that component. But right now, at our grant level, that's where we want to stay.
Well, let's give a shout out before you go to Commander Bob Watkins and the Legacy Foundation.
Absolutely. So Commander Watkins has been really the most important part of bringing me onto this position. I typically work with fire and EMS, and he was just so committed to the project and so committed to the county. And I usually contract. I was like, I don't want to work for anyone. I work for myself. But I just, Commander Watkins was like, I would absolutely work for you. You are an incredibly high-functioning, respectful, just true civil servant. Yes, I will work. And so that's been a really wonderful working relationship. And the sheriff's office has been really impressive. And I've been just really, every time I interface with any entity in Cochise College so far, or Cochise County so far, so the college, the Legacy Foundation, everyone's just been wonderful. So I was like, this is great. I'm having fun. The Legacy Foundation's been really wonderful. Yeah, I'm super excited. It's been great, and I'm really hopeful. But we like I said, we want to keep it. We want to be reasonable. I want to be realistic, but I am very excited.
Well, we look forward to having you back on the show once you've had 6 months under your belt and the program's in full swing and you've hired the people, everybody's in place, to hear how it's working in the county. So we're definitely going to have you back on the show for sure.
Looking forward to it.
And we thank you for coming and talking to us today.
Thank you.
That's Dr. Alana Brunacini, and we thank you for coming in today. KWCD Country, it's First Watch, brought to you by Sulphur Springs Valley Electric Cooperative.